Megan turns up. Uh, from Megan, she's here. Right, we'll allow Megan in. Uh, she's always one of the last. I'm going to ask you a question. Megan,
Says on here. Oh, go on.
Megan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Are you always late to everything you go to?
Oh, sorry.
That's not what I'm saying. No, you're always like, not late, but the odd 30 seconds late, whatever it is. We get used to it. I've always said now, I don't start these Zoom meetings until Megan turns up. So you're always here.
I didn't want to be too early.
There's nothing wrong with being early. Yeah, yeah. There's always something wrong with being late. Right. We'll crack on now for the Thursday. Those of you, obviously, yesterday with the budget, if we did listen to Sunak's words yesterday, and sometimes it's very hard listening to people talking, whether or not they're central bankers, yeah, or obviously uh, whether there's central bankers or the chancellor or the exchequer as such. But Sunak said yesterday at one stage that he said he felt inflation would go up and rates would go up, and that, as he said that affected the markets instantly. So again, we have to be prepared for when people talk and listen to everything they say. Yeah, obviously the thing to trade yesterday, and I think we went through it on a Zoom thing we did earlier in the day with Lewis and Bradley. The gilt market was the best one to trade on him saying inflation going up and interest rates going up. The gilts dropped 50, 60 ticks. Although, admittedly, the pound moved and the FTSE moved, the gilts were the easiest things to trade. So basically, what we're trying to teach in all of these things is find the right contracts for the right news. Anyway, we head on to what's out today, and obviously if you don't know what the headline is today, the most important thing is today. Yeah, go back and look at the news because I'll come to it later because it's one of the latest things of the day. At 8:10, we'll go straight into it. ECB not is talking, and obviously you should know whether he's a dove or a hawk. He's a super hawk. In theory, what he's saying will probably obviously mention inflation, so that may be bearish for the indices and maybe bearish for the German government 10-year, 5-year, and obviously 2-year. He speaks at 8:10 with Centuro as well. Uh, After that, of course, we have the construction PMIs as we do on Monday, 8:30, 8:45, 8:50, 9 o'clock, and 9:30. 9:30 being the UK ones. So be aware of those when they come out. On Monday, they didn't really move the scoreboard very much. Yeah. However, we have to be aware of them because it's on a Thursday. Uh, 10 o'clock, we've got the Euro retail sales. Obviously, the retail sales this week have been fairly flat and awful. Obviously, overnight, Mr. Harker of the Fed, don't expect the rate hike anytime in 2022. Remember, the Fed have mentioned on the dot plot that the rate shouldn't move until 2023. But we'll come back to that in a minute. 13:30, initial jobless claims are coming out. And after yesterday's ADP, we expected maybe slightly weaker, and we're looking at the weekly jobless to be 750K, slightly better than it was last week. 3 o'clock, we have US durable goods. Those of you who don't know what durable goods, look it up. I always say it's something that's quite heavy and expensive to go on there. Obviously, the big part of the day is 5 past 5. We'll probably be doing a Zoom at 5 past 5 to get everyone aware of it because Mr. Powell speaks. And what do we expect? We expect a change in language for what he said the last meeting because obviously we do have a FOMC meeting in, I think it's 13 days. Uh, so be aware of that. And this is the last time we'll hear from anyone from the Fed until that meeting. So obviously it's very important. If you go to last meeting he had, he basically uh, told everyone what he expected. And remember what he said last time, 2 weeks ago, at the Humphrey Hawkins, when he did his 2-day speech, that people didn't understand on the Tuesday. So on Wednesday, he said, let's say this again, we will not be raising rates, we'll be cutting rates. However, this speech today is followed by Q&A. Uh, and we expect him to obviously talk down rates, as did Harker did yesterday, and it's prior to the blackout. In theory, you can ask yourself, if you had to ask Mr. Powell a question, what question would you ask him? And my one would be, how do you stop inflation? Because you just can't stop it like a tap. Obviously, higher bond yields yesterday weakened the markets. The other one we have to work out, obviously, today is uh, The OPEC starts today. Obviously, the crude oil is running higher. Rumours that OPEC will not turn the taps on again. Obviously, they turned them off in January. Obviously, no one's driving that much due to lockdown. The one word we have to work out on, and obviously do your homework, it's on everyone's lips at the moment, is the word that the Fed may be using. He always likes using new words to confuse us, will be Operation Twist. TWIST. And that is how they think they're going to combat yields and low interest rates. Most people know that if the yields go higher, the best way to combat that is to raise interest rates. But it does seem to me that the Fed are very anti that. Right, we're very close to going in there. On the opening, obviously, I think I'm going to be looking at FTSE because I think a lot of people will take, obviously, the headlines on the newspapers today. Those who haven't seen, it's quite weird. Is that how many people buy newspapers now because you're on lockdown? Not very many. But as I said earlier on, I filled my car up with petrol today, and the front pages of the newspapers are obviously all about the budget, how it was leaked, and how we're going to be paying for it in decades to come, higher taxes, anything else. So I'd see that basically on my pros that whether we do scalp or not, on the open, which we do, I'll expect some selling to come into the FTSE and maybe the other indices as well. Those of you new here, there's a few names I haven't seen. Welcome here. We don't preempt the market, and a few people yesterday said, "Oh, they jumped in before the market opened." If we're scalping, we keep our hand on the mouse, and obviously we use the market profile. And normally, I'll share the screen here to put it up here. We use the market profile we see on the left here. Uh, I've got the DAX here. I'll apologise. I'm going to change it to the FTSE. Those of you who haven't got market profile up or trader made, send me the link and I'll send you what's going on. The market profile here is very simple. It's just done on letters, and the letters are a time print. O is 7 o'clock, P is 7:30 to 8, and obviously we're looking for a Q between 8 o'clock and half 8, and the Q is normally very busy, as is the letter F at 2:30 for Wall Street. So again, we got FTSE up here, and we obviously got a couple of red candles as coming here. But we look at the market profile on the right. It will be a bit late. Again, if we do get a sudden move down, and we might see it tip down, maybe below 6,600, where the value we're near the value low here, and we'll go with it. Obviously, the last few days has been fairly quiet on the FTSE, and maybe a 10, 20 tick scalp is the best we can get. Obviously, those in the DAX probably 40 ticks, but in reality, today, like yesterday, it looks as though it could be fairly quiet. And I said to Mark earlier on, obviously we got a weekly jobbers, but it may be a long, patient wait till 5 o'clock. Obviously, you can do your homework on non-farm payroll tomorrow and find out about Powell and Operation Twist. So again, I think that basically it'd be hands on seats rather than your mouse today, because I think it's going to be a long wait. Quick lesson on the market profile. When we see to the left here, we see all these letters here: OPQR, extra. These are half-hour prints. So basically, it tells us that a FTSE and everything else didn't do a lot for a long period of time yesterday. We're just stuck in the range. And why I like market profile, because when you get letters like this between, say, 6665 around there, yeah, all the letters here, it's basically telling you nothing's gone on, so there's no point trading and there's no point having a position on. Okay, we're going to come into the opening now and see what it goes on. And we do expect a bit of volatility because it's just price action orders. In theory, you haven't seen no movement yet to get involved in the trade. Obviously, the last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we have seen some buying in the indices early on. Whether we see that today, I doubt it. I'm more bearish than bullish coming on, but I'm still awaiting a movement to come down. We've seen a bit of selling here, and then we just trade small. We can add to it when we're scalping with very tight stops. Sometimes 5 ticks, and sometimes less than that. If you're trading, we've got a view of anything on that. Obviously, you're going to have a larger stop in there. A FTSE on today's really opening move, you wouldn't have anything more than probably a 15 tick stop, and a DAX probably a 20 tick stop. So there's no real news coming out, and all we're waiting for look at the screen now. It's our first construction PMI, which is 8:30, and obviously Mr. Knott. We may have to wait. Still a bit behind the foot here. Mr. Knott from the ECB is talking at 8:10. Again, I haven't traded the FTSE here. I haven't seen any real move, but we've seen a slight ticking up to the highs we were just before 7:30. I haven't traded yet. It's been, I think, the same as yesterday in the FTSE. Nothing's been really clear, and people just finding their way. But obviously, we see the extension of the green candle, and obviously we're going to the value high up here on the FTSE on the O of 6627. Be interested to see where we go higher than here. Okay. Anyone, anything else that wants to go there? I said on the trade and made anything else, whack yourself on the discussion group and say if you want it. Again, if it's quiet today, we'll go through it. Obviously on the yields, those of you who haven't done the bond, the cheeky, slightly easier bond questions about what bonds are. We do a very simple 15 question multiple choice thing. Had that, it'd probably take you 20 minutes to do. Most of you have done it. Some of you haven't done it. It will help you understand when people talk about bond markets, how some of the complicated words are translated fairly easier. All right, then. Again, that's it. We'll come back. And as we see, obviously the FTSE and the indices are ticking up. Let's see what the other indices are doing from where we are. The DAX has obviously rallied a bit. The DAX is probably easier to see. I bet the DAX has probably been a nice green candle there, fairly clean. And we've probably seen that. And obviously, let's have a look at the Euro stocks. So in theory, coming very neutral, but you can safely say that from the 8 o'clock opening, let's say the Euro stocks have probably been the easiest one, really, from 8 o'clock, 8.7, 8.6, not massive. We'll quickly see if we've got that in the on the DAX. Yeah, those of you, the DAX has probably been easier. The first has been quite hard to trade on the 8 o'clock opening, probably because there's not as much volume in there. But that's obviously on the DAX. We have a quick look in the market profile with the indices. Let's see if we can find anything. 94, we're here. So I think once we went past the POC, those who understand it, and the DAX, we've obviously carried on, and we've gone through the value high now, and we're further up. So the DAX was easier. In theory, again, as we said yesterday, there's no reason for the DAX now to be short once it broke that, especially the value high. If you are short, you should have been out, and in theory, we should be long as we broke it. The DAX was easier to see. We looked at the FTSE because of the budget, and obviously got that one wrong. But popping back to the FTSE now, we probably see it is fairly clean coming through. So again, there was pressure. It's when you see the market profile and the price action, you've got to see more price action come in, and we normally see that through the letters that come through. But I wouldn't say you'd bought the open. You might have bought probably at 802, 803 when the buying carried on following through, as it did yesterday on the FTSE. Hope that's a help. Those of you who've got one-to-ones will do that probably throughout the day, probably in the morning. But I think we will definitely do a Zoom. We'll start at 5 o'clock this evening. Okay, take it easy. And remember, I think you probably might have to save your bullets for this afternoon. Okay.
Lovely. Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Neil.